Today we are going to learn how to debug Python code using PyCharm. It is one of the most powerful tools for Python development. Debugging means inspecting your code step by step to understand exactly what it's doing and where things might be going wrong. So let's get into it. So the first question is, why debugging? So sometimes your code doesn't give the expected output or breaks in ways you can't easily see. Instead of guessing the problem, you can watch it happening live using a debugger. And to do that, we use breakpoints. Now, what is a breakpoint? A breakpoint is a red dot you place beside a line of code in PyCharm. When you run the debugger, the program pauses at the breakpoint, allowing you to inspect variables and the flow. Let's define a function called add and divide. And here we expect two parameters, a and b. Inside that function, we want to know the sum of those two parameters. So a plus b. Then we can have another variable called result, and there we can write sum underscore divided by the subtraction result of b minus a. Okay, and after doing that, we want to return the result. And let's say we have another variable called x, which holds the value 5, and y, which also holds the value 5. And we can define another variable called output, and we can call the add and divide function and just pass x and y there. Then after getting the output, we can print output equal output. Okay, now if I run the code, it will throw an error. As you can see, it says 0 division error. So what is happening here is we are passing 5 and 5 for the parameter a and b. So here in this line, sum becomes 10, and we are dividing 10 by 5 minus 5 means 0, so it is throwing 0 division error. But it is a small code. If the file was a little bit big, means let's say it holds thousands of lines of code, then how will you debug? You can't just read every line of code to find one bug. That's not how the things works. And in this situation, the debugging comes into the picture. So as you can see in the left side, we have the code line numbers. We can add some breakpoints on those lines. As you can see, that red dot. So let's add a breakpoint in this line, and instead of running the code, we are gonna click on this debug button. Now it will show a debug menu to you. Now here you can rerun the debugging, stop the debugging, resume the program, pause program, then step over, step into, then step into my code, step out, and there are many options. And now the beautiful thing about this is you can see what is happening in each line. As you can see, it stopped in this line, in the line number 3, and in the line number 3, as you can see, the value of a is 5 and the value of b is also 5. Okay, now this step into and step over, these two buttons is more used than the others. These are really helpful. So let me tell you what these do. If you click on this step over button, it will go to the next line and execute the next line. But if you click on this step into, it just tells the Python to go inside the function calls. So now if I click on this step over to go to the next line, as you can see, now again a is 5, b is 5, but the sum variable now has the value 10. As you can see here also, it says sum variable holds the value 10. Okay, now again if you click on this step over to go to the next line, it just tells you that the error is in this line. As you can see, it says in this line we have a 0 division error, and it indicates with the red thunder sign as well. Okay, so this is how you can inspect the code by yourself and find the bugs in your code. Now you can right click on a variable here in the terminal and add to watches. So you can keep track of that variable, means in which time and which moment it is changing, it is updating, or whatever happening to its value, you can track them easily. Okay, and after finding the bug, you can just stop the program and just fix that and run that. Let me fix the bug, say this one, and if you click here, it will remove the breakpoint. Now you can just run the code. You'll see it says the output is 2, because when sum becomes 10, if we divide by 5, the result is surely gonna be 2. You can use this debugging mode to understand the code as well. So here, if I remove this code, or let me just comment this, and let's have a variable called I, which holds the value 0, and I'm gonna write a while loop, and I'm gonna tell that while I is less than 5, I want to print I. Okay, and after that I just want to increment I, so it does not goes to the infinite loop, and I want to increment by 1, and I have to reassign the updated value inside I again. So now if I run the code, you'll see it prints 0 to 4. Now let's say you want to understand what is happening here. Let me remove the above code. Actually, I don't want that. And now let's say you want to understand what is happening behind the scene in this code. So what you can do is you can add a breakpoint here, then click on this debug button. You will see this error. It says name error, name A is not defined. That is because in the previous example we added the A variable to our watch list. So right click on this error and click on this remove all watches. Okay, now stop this and click on this debug button again. As you can see, now it is running properly. So we have added the breakpoint in the first line, so there is no changes in the code. But if I click on this step over, as you can see, after executing this line, I becomes 0. If I again click on this step over, now we are inside the while loop, so it prints 0. Again, if I click on this step over, still I is 0, but after executing this line, it goes to there and I becomes 1. So again, it is in the third line. If I click on step over, it goes to the print statement, means the line number 4, and prints 1. Again, if I click on step over, it adds 1, and after executing the line, I becomes 2. So by this you can see what is happening in the code step by step. Again, step over, it prints 2, step over, for executing this line, step over, I becomes 3. You can click the step into as well. Again, step into, again, as you can see, I becomes 4. So this is how you can see the code execution process step by step using the debugging mode, and you can fix the bugs of your code as well. So PyCharm's debugger lets you run code line by line. You can pause, inspect, watch, and fix bugs easily. So breakpoints and stepping are your best friend. After seeing the coding process or debugging, you just can stop the debugging and fix if there is any bug, and you can just run the code. You can see the output. So that's all for now. See you in the next one.